Check. 1, 2, 3.
The D. Brief. This is the D Brief.
Go. Your guide to Detroit.
Your guide to Detroit's arts
and entertainment scene.
This is the D
Brief.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm your co-host. My name is Seth Ressler.
And I'm Becky Scarcello.
And if you listen to this podcast a lot, you probably know that it sounds like we're making it up as we go. Mostly because we are.
Lots of times we are.
Today, we've got somebody who is really, really good at making it up as he goes.
Yeah.
He's an improviser.
I love that skill. I'm jealous of that skill.
I wish I had much more command of that skill.
Me too.
Because I really don't. Because there's a big event that's happening this week and this weekend in Detroit. It is the Detroit Improv Festival. It's in its 9th year. It's happening August 7th through the 10th. So we're going to drop this episode on Thursday morning. Wednesday night will already have happened, but there's still 3 days of improv to go catch. And you
packed.
should. This thing has gotten huge.
Yeah, I had no idea how much it's grown, and it's a really impressive situation here. Everyone should check it out.
So let's welcome Michael Smith of the Detroit Improv Fest. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
for
having
me. Talk to us a little bit about the history of this event and about the improv scene here in Detroit.
So the Detroit Improv Festival has been going on for 9 years. It's run by a group called the Detroit Improv Collective, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. We donate any proceeds that we have to different charities over the years. Right now, the Detroit Creativity Project is the main one that we're donating to.
This is Mark Evan Jackson's charity, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, because we talked to him on an earlier episode a while back. He was in town doing an improv thing with Mark F. Tompkins.
To raise money for that. But they had their tuxedos on, and it was
Talk
great.
a little bit about this organization.
So Mark is great. First of all, he's a huge friend of the festival, and he helps us get a lot of our headliners because without him, we would not have the connections to get a lot of these folks, including Paul F. Tompkins. So his charity is to provide improv classes for students in Detroit public schools who otherwise would not have the opportunity to do that. And so they raise money, and then you go to the DetroitCreativityProject.org. They'll give you all the information, but...
Nice. Yeah. I mean, he was fantastic when he was there. And this is a guy who, if you don't know who he is, you do know who he is. You just don't know that you know who he is because he is in
very recognizable
everything. I mean,
face, yeah.
He's in The Good Place, which is an amazing show. I love that television show. He's been in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right? What else has he been in?
Parks and Rec. Basically any Michael Schur show.
Yep.
He's been in.
He just keeps showing up.
Right.
So yeah, you see this guy in a ton of stuff.
Kong Skull Island.
Right.
Okay, sure.
Cool. So what's happening at this year's event?
This year we've actually got Paul F. Tompkins with the Bajillion Dollar Properties Group. So that's a TV show that was picked up actually by Pluto TV. Its premiere is August 5th, so it will have already started.
So what is that? That's the night that we're recording. By
Right.
the time you hear this, it will have already premiered.
Right.
If only there were a way to go back and watch television that had already aired.
Unfortunately,
I think
it just
they've invented
vanishes.
that.
Oh, they have?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I always wondered how to spell bajillion. Now I know. That's good. Yeah.
So a part of that group is Tawny Newsome and Drew Tarver, who's on a show, the other two, that's on Comedy Central. He's part of this group too, and several others, and they're absolutely hilarious. They've come a couple times now, and they kill it every single year.
So where is the festival happening?
It's happening mostly in Ferndale. So Wednesday night is entirely in Ferndale. Thursday, there's a big show down at the Planet Ant Hall in Hamtramck, and that's got the Detroit Creativity Project Showcase, which has Mark Evan Jackson and Jamie Moyer, who is basically is Detroit Improv. She's just a force of nature on stage, and crushes it every time she goes out there. So they're doing a show to benefit the Detroit Creativity Project down in Hamtramck.
Nice.
And then after that, everything is back up in Ferndale. It's at Go Comedy, the Ringwald, and also at the Loving Touch this year.
Oh, so you're taking over some venues that don't necessarily do improv
Not
throughout
normally,
the rest of the year.
Yeah, but are great spaces.
Yep, absolutely. This is our first year with the Loving Touch, but so far it seems like it's going to be great with them.
Oh, I like that space, yeah. Now, when you say, okay, someone's so great at improv, what's the magic sauce? Because it's got to be different every time. You're thinking on your feet. What are the ingredients where you say that person just kills at improv?
I'm first of all, I'm no expert. I'm okay at this, to be clear, but I think I've seen enough improv to know what I think makes it good.
Yeah.
And for me, it's somebody that just kind of checks their ego at the door, and they just don't think about it. They just go, and they go for it, and you're just like, wow. You sit there and you watch them just go for it, and they're not worried about, do I look stupid, or is this going to be funny? They're just saying it, and then the funny happens afterward.
So like supremely being in the moment.
Absolutely.
And just not thinking about what you said before or what you're going to have to say, but just right on. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I had a phase in my mid-20s where I didn't do improv, but I read a bunch of improv theory books because there is a lot of improv theory out there, right? And one of the things that I learned was that there is improv that draws a laugh because there are sort of rules of the game, and you watch somebody on stage who they're struggling to do something that's within the rules. This is like what you see with Whose Line Is It Anyway? Right. Which is, I think, what a lot of people think of when they think of improv.
Yeah, that's a great show.
And then there is improv where there are no rules and it's just completely made up. And am I right that for improvisers, that's almost a next level improv when you aren't playing just against the rules, but you're...
So there's two types of improv. There's short form, which that's the games that you see on Whose Line Is It Anyway. If you take improv classes, when you start out, you're just doing those short form games. And then later on, it's long form, and that's where you can just get up on stage with a group and you have your own little form that you made up yourselves, and there's no games anymore. Now you're getting a suggestion from the audience and you're just going.
And you're just going with it.
But you can use the tools that you learned from those games in your scenes.
Right. But the funny doesn't come from, he has to think of a word that starts with X and nothing starts with X. You know what I mean? It's not that.
Or just relying on, but farts, like just dumb humor. Yeah.
Right. There's nothing worse than like a clever improviser that's just trying to come up with that perfect little joke.
Right.
Just be in it.
Okay.
So what can we expect to see in terms of, is it going to be long form?
Almost everything you'll see is different types of long form.
Okay.
We've got duos. We've got large groups. We've got one-person shows. Stacey Smith is doing a show called Stace Jam. It's a one-woman musical.
How do you do that?
Yeah, what?
I've seen it. She actually performed at the Detroit Women of Comedy Festival and just blew me away. Because, when somebody says one-person musical, you're like, wait a second, how is that possible? And it's possible, and it's amazing.
And is she doing different characters in?
Yep. All the characters. Like the one that I watched,
forth.
she was playing a mother, a daughter, somebody at a school, a lunch lady. It was incredible.
So it's kind of like you've seen one-man shows, one-woman plays, etc. But how does that work with improv? Because she knows what she's going to say or say.
Well, does she though?
I don't know.
Or is she just making it up and then reacting to whatever she made up?
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's a mind bender.
Yeah.
That is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of different shows going on.
Okay.
You also have workshops going on.
We do.
Let's talk about some of those.
So basically, a lot of the headliners that come in, they come in from all over the country, actually all over North America. We've got a shout out to Canada. And they'll teach anybody at different levels of improv, different skills. I do not have the full workshop list in front of me, but basically, I know that Craig and Carla Kakowski from Orange Tuxedo, they're coming in from California. They're teaching workshops. I took one from them, I think 2 years ago. Great workshop. Tough to do hungover on a Saturday morning, but it was good.
So what happens in an introductory workshop to improv?
You get out there, and most of these aren't very introductory. There's at least some.
These are got it. So could we show up to any?
You're welcome to show up. I would read the descriptions, and if it says, I think most of them say, intermediate level required if it does. But I was in my very first year taking classes. I think I was the second level, so I had played some games, and TJ and Dave, who are improv gods out of Chicago, were in doing workshops, and I took a workshop from TJ Jagodowski, and it was me and then a bunch of performers who had been doing this for 10 years, and I was so intimidated and didn't know what to do in this room, and it ended up being perfectly fine. So I really do think that with even a base level of understanding of what improv is, you can do these workshops.
Don't try to get me to go, Seth. I can see you.
Well, I want to know what happens. I want to know what kind of
going.
exercises they do or what kind of games.
It depends on what the focus of the workshop is. For instance, the one that I did with Craig and Carla Kakowski, it was a duos workshop. And so they had my partner and I, we would go up and they had one of us cover our ears and say, all right, what does this person think you're going to say next? And they'd get just trying to show you guys are more in tune than you think. You do know what this person's going to say, and then you kind of go through the scenes, and it's pretty cool.
It's almost like a version of couples therapy.
Right. It really was.
Well, that's always what's amazed me about improv is that it really isn't about any one person. It's about sort of the space or the interaction between multiple people. And when somebody tries to make it about one person, when you try to pull the conversation or the story in a direction, it doesn't work.
Exactly. You might get one laugh, a cheap laugh early on, and then the whole thing gets derailed. But when it's just a group of people having fun, it's so much more fun for the audience and everybody involved.
So there is a central tenet in improv called yes and.
Yes.
Explain what that means.
And. So what yes and is basically you're building something together. It's if somebody creates an environment, says anything, you yes that. So if I say, oh, man, this pilot is going crazy. We're on an airplane and there must be turbulence. You don't go, no, that's not a pilot. We're on a train.
So that's the cardinal sin.
Right.
In improv is to negate something.
It's, and early on you think yes and, I have to say yes to everything. And that's not exactly true. What you have to do is accept whatever is created as being reality. And then you build on that. That's the and. So, this pilot's going crazy. Yeah, and I just bought a coffee. You're adding
So wait, let's try this. Let's you and I try this, Becky.
Okay.
How do we get a suggestion? We get something from you, and then I just go off that, and we see where we can go. All right.
Sure.
Okay.
Give me something.
You guys are at the beach, and your brother and sister.
Oh, it's hot out here. Hand me the sunblock.
Oh, it sure is. I don't know what to do. Okay, so I'm just supposed to build the story, right?
It sure is, and then you anything.
It sure is, and this pigeon just pooped in my purse.
Oh, give me some of that. That's like SPF 500 right there.
It is, but people can see it, and I don't know. This beach has got a lot of hot-looking women.
They do, but that one over there that I've been eyeing, she looks like she's into pigeon poop.
There you go. Nailed it. You guys are ready for a workshop. Actually,
more like we desperately need a workshop.
I was going to say you could teach one, but either way.
I
mean, it's hard to do, right?
It's you think you know all this stuff, and then your mind kind of goes blank.
I would just blame it on the suggestion. The suggestion was terrible. A beach and what brother and sister go to a beach together?
That's so strange. Yeah.
I ruined it for you guys. I apologize.
So, what's the selection process? How does an improv troupe get into the festival?
So, I'm one of 6 producers, and what we do is we ask them to submit videos. There's a website, the Improv Network, where videos can be submitted, and this year we've got, I think, 75 submissions, and from that we had, I think, 43 slots to fill. So we had to pare that down. And so what we do is we watch each and every one of these improv videos. Most of them are about 20 minutes long. Ooh. And luckily we have a long time to do that. At least the submissions process starts in April, and then we start telling troops that they're in or not in June.
Are there elements that you're looking for in particular?
For me, a good start is important, because if it's boring from the beginning.
Oh, yeah. People have short attention spans. Right. You got to snag them. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the video you chose to submit to us. So, you got to know that the beginning. And just a lot of it's the audience reaction too. Just are they having fun? Is there energy in the room while they're doing it? I'm an expert at watching improv. I'm not an expert at doing it, but I just feel like when you watch these things, you just kind of get a sense of, oh, this is fun. People are having fun. And then, another thing that we look for is diversity. Unfortunately, a lot of improv is white guys in Converse and plaid shirts. And so we've...
Oh, do you mean improvers or brewers?
Right.
Which one are we talking
exactly,
about? Yeah.
Right. And so, diversity definitely plays a role too. We like to have, all groups represented at the festival.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Talk about some of the famous improvers that have come out of the Detroit scene.
Okay, so the group, the 313, is probably the most known group of improvisers there. They're all out in L.A., and they're all from Detroit originally. That includes Keegan-Michael Key, Tim Robinson, Sam Richardson, Nancy Hayden, who is the mother of improv in Detroit. Naima Funk, Josh Funk, Mark Warzeka, Mark Evan Jackson, and Jamie Moyer. And there's probably more, but I feel like I nailed it there.
So we know some stand-up comedians, for example, who have started their career here and then made the big move to New York or made the big move to LA. Is that a thing in improv too?
Yep, it's at least in years past, it's been Detroit, and then you either go Chicago, New York, or LA. Chicago's kind of that intermediary step because they've got the Second City there, they've got the IO, they've got a lot of well-known improv theaters there. And, from Chicago, people can get noticed by SNL or whatever else. Lorne Michaels will go there for auditions and stuff like that. But then, it's New York or LA, I think, if you really want to have a career in it.
What's the difference if you're an improver between going to New York versus going to LA?
I don't know for other than the theaters. I don't know for sure.
I mean, I would imagine New York is more theater, more SNL,
right?
Type, yeah.
Whereas LA is more Hollywood or script writing or stuff like that.
Makes sense to me. I don't know for sure, but
send us a postcard when you get there.
Right.
Well, I would
that
imagine
ship
it's
sailed for me.
Yeah, I imagine it's hard too.
We're still holding on.
Yes, we're trying. That it's difficult because with improv, you normally have a troupe or a team.
Right.
And then there's got to be all this tension. Like, well, do we all move to such and such? And then somebody's funnier and gets noticed and the others get left behind. Whatever.
I'm actually in a duo with a good friend, Jacqueline Cherry, who moved to LA about, I think, 6 months ago.
Oh,
and so
are you missing?
I am.
Yeah.
I haven't really improvised since she left because of it. But she's coming back and we're performing at the festival,
nice.
which is nice. She's actually one of the producers as well. But it's one of those things where it's like we were going good for 3 years straight. And then she's like, I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to go to LA.
How do you find, is it like when you're in a band and you're like, we need a guitarist and you're putting that on Craigslist or something? Like, how does that work?
Just go hang out at the lobby at an improv theater and see another lonely person. And, hey,
Chat them up.
You just at the bar at Planet Ann waiting to see who else is drinking.
It's funny.
That's what I would do, Seth, if you ever left me because I couldn't do the podcast without you. So I would just go hang out.
You just go hang out at Podcast Detroit and start picking up guys. Yeah, I know.
Makes sense.
Right.
I think so.
So we have a lot of famous people who have come out of this space. I know that you mentioned Second City in Chicago. We used to have one here.
Right. So there was Second City, Detroit, and it was downtown where the Hockey Town Cafe is. It's now, I think, the City Theater.
Yes.
And, it going great. I used to go there. It was
Me too.
when I was, I think college age, it was like my first date move.
Nice.
Yeah, solid.
It was something unique, and you're going down to Detroit. Ooh, dangerous.
Yeah, it's a little danger element. Yeah.
I mean, it was back in the late 90s, not to date myself, but, and then, it moved to Novi after that. And then for whatever reason, they decided to close it down. And basically everybody that was at the Second City Detroit, a lot of them went to the Second City Chicago at that point.
They fled the city.
Right.
So, sometimes things go to Novi to die. That happens. So.
Yeah, from what I hear, and, I wasn't part of the scene at that point, but from what I hear, it just kind of lost the element, like where you can make fun of things going on in the city when you're in the city and you're part of it. But when you move to the suburbs and you start again, this is all what other people have told me, but it makes sense at least.
Let me ask, because Ann Arbor has improv as well.
They do.
I know in talking to stand-up comedians that they will always say that Ann Arbor is much more politically correct. There's a lot of comedy or jokes that will work in other places that you can't do in Ann Arbor. What happens with improv? Is that also a factor?
It can be, absolutely. The room in general can be a factor. I did a show at a Gildas club, and it was 80% people were 70 years old or older. Ooh. So, but I mean, knowing that, I'm not going to make references to Post Malone.
Right.
Is he cool? Is that the cool singer?
That's Becky. Becky's the one who.
Yeah, I think he's still cool.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's still cool.
Was he really that cool? I always felt like
among
he was
the younger set, absolutely. Yeah.
I tried to pick one that young people would know and old people wouldn't know.
Right.
I understand. We got where you're going.
Totally.
So yeah, I mean, just based on the room, I wouldn't go city to city on it, but based on the room you're in.
But
read the room.
Do you hear the complaints in improv the way you do in stand-up comedy about political correctness?
You hear it more internally. People that are running theaters or are in troops, it's more people trying to make sure that everybody has a safe space and a comfortable environment to perform. So improv, I think, actually, because of that, it's more self-regulating. It's not really the audience. Usually the audience are the jerks, like yelling out, weird suggestions and things like that that are offensive sometimes. But internally, it's usually a good community that tries to make sure that it's a safe space for everybody to be able to create.
Well, and normally you're not doing improv with strangers, so I assume there's that trust level there, almost like circus performers. Like, I know you got me. Like, you're going to catch me. And
that's actually a thing we always say when you go up on stage is you hit each other on the back and you say, I got your back. And so you just, as you go up there, you just kind of know, one, if we're going to fail together and we're going to laugh about it. Right. We're going to be okay. And most likely it's going to be a great time, and we're going to have a bunch of people afterward come out into the lobby and say, this was really fun. How'd you do that? Right. Did you write that beforehand?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. One of the other things that happens in improv or doesn't happen, that will happen, for example, in stand-up comedy, is the audience isn't usually consuming alcohol. Are they? Your festival's more fun than others.
Oh yeah, they're definitely drinking at our festival.
There's not normally not. Like where?
I guess that's not true because Go Comedy's got a bar up front.
Second City,
and Planet Ant does too. Because in the past in other cities where I've seen improv, there has not been. Because of exactly what you're talking about. You get somebody who's had a few.
The drunk people in the audience.
And they start yelling out stupid things.
Right. And
I can see that.
Everybody's kind of trained to deal with that at this point.
Yeah.
And so it's not really a big deal.
You have your disarms?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Can we ask? Can you give it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the easiest one is, you get a suggestion and somebody yells dildo and you just say, all right, can I get it from somebody that's not going to, you just move on. And then the entire audience just turns
ignores.
On that person. And you go, sorry if that word is not radio friendly.
That word's fine.
No,
we say that all the time
all the
around
time.
here. We've
pretty much every episode. Yeah.
But no, we not only do we allow drinking, we encourage it at the Detroit Improv Festival.
Okay.
We have excellent after parties. We're known for the after parties. There's a drink usually there called Diff Juice, which is some sort of cocktail that Bree, the bartender at Go Comedy, makes every year, and
nobody knows what's in it.
No
secret.
I mean, she knows what's in it, I think. So, but yeah, it's a good time, and you see performers, some of the headliners and stuff. They come in and just party, and people in the audience are welcome to hang out too. And there's a beer tent outside of Go Comedy, and it ends up being a good time.
All right, I'm in then. I'm there.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Are you ready to play a little game?
I am.
All right, here we go. We're going to ask you for a series of rapid-fire recommendations. Just tell us the first thing that comes to mind. Starting with this. If you're an improviser, I assume that you're out late a lot of nights. Where's your favorite place in the Detroit area for late-night food?
Taco Bell. Not a problem at all. That's always Taco Bell.
Wow.
I mean, you can get it. You can eat it on your way home. You're good to go.
Nice.
Good to know.
Have you ever been to Hot Taco?
I have downtown.
Okay,
yep.
It's a good alternative if you want a local taco.
She's trying to get you out of the corporate establishment.
Yeah, but there's no drive-through 5 seconds from any house.
That's true.
That's true.
You know what? Mark Kurlianchik said Taco Bell in Ferndale too, so you're among good company.
Outstanding.
Okay, so we know people like Keegan-Michael Key and other people that have come out of this scene and are doing well. Who's a Detroiter now that you think's poppin' that everybody should get to know their name in that scene?
Garrett Fuller would be mad if I don't say his name, so I'm not going to say his name.
Who?
Travis Pelto is somebody that I think is absolutely hilarious. He and Joe Hingelberg, they're part of a duo called Forever 15, and they crush it every time they're on stage.
Like forever 15-year-old boys?
Exactly. And I think they started improvising together when they were 15.
Nice.
So.
Do you have a favorite local TV personality?
The first person to come to mind is Huel Perkins.
Oh, I love him.
And
he's so nice.
He's the one that read the Kwame text messages and went, hell yeah.
That was the moment for you? Yeah. You're like, that's my guy.
I guess. I never knew I had a favorite, but there it is.
Yeah. See, you're so good at this. It just pops right out. What you spoke about Canada and a lot of improvers coming from there. What's the last thing you went to Canada for?
Wow, probably when I was 20 years old to go drink at Bentley's down in Windsor.
Oh,
It's been that long since you've
Yeah.
been across the border.
Yeah, I
It's a favorite
shamefully, a grown man with no passport right now.
Wow.
I know. I have the application filled out and I just haven't.
Gotta do it. I
done
just renewed mine.
If you could create your own line of Detroit t-shirts, what would the slogan be?
Well, I actually have my own line of Detroit t-shirts
Do
right
you
now.
really?
There's Wayne County Life, and then there's shirts that say All Black Dodge Ram.
So let's talk about Wayne County
Yes.
Life.
All
What is
right.
that?
So Wayne County Life, it's sketch videos that my buddy Garrett Fuller and I started making about 3 years ago. Candidly, I think he's the funniest person left in Detroit, after you take Tim Robinson and those folks away. And I was frustrated with him because he was not creating enough and not getting out there enough. And I said, dude, we gotta do something. And he had some ideas for videos, and we started it about 3 years ago. And just recently, for whatever reason, a couple of them have hit really hard. And we had the All Black Dodge Ram video go have 2.4 million views.
Wow.
And then we had one after that where he's playing a guy that is upset because everybody hates Smash Mouth, and he still likes Smash Mouth. And Smash Mouth retweeted it. And they were like,
Nice.
wait, are people hating us?
Yeah,
You're
wait.
like,
Are we
well,
the new nickel band?
Yeah, sorry, Smash Mouth. It turns out, yes.
And that's Wayne County Life, LYFE.
Yes.
Clever.
Nice.
What's a Detroit area activity that's next on your to-do list that you got to hit?
I want to go foaling. I haven't
I haven't done that either.
Oh, you guys should. It's fun. And I like it because it's kind of an even playing field. Nobody, even if you're not athletic like me or you are very athletic, we could do the same thing. There's no particular people that are great at bowling.
Now, you're in Ferndale. Have you done the axe throwing?
I have done the axe
How
throwing.
was that?
I was excellent at it, so I feel good. We
go.
did it for like a friend's birthday party, and for whatever reason, I was like, oh, this is a skill that I never needed to know I have, but
Random.
Great.
Nice.
I feel like you could be in the middle of a scene, on stage, and you might need to throw an axe all of a sudden.
Yeah,
I feel
you
like
can
that could
call
be
on
useful,
that,
right?
yeah.
absolutely.
So somebody negates something, you just pull out your axe.
Right. Hey, get over here.
Let's ask this. If you could get anybody to come and perform in the Detroit Improv Festival, who would be your dream get?
I think it would be Janet from The Good Place, Darcy Carden.
Oh,
Who she just kills me every time I watch that show. She's so funny to me, and she is an improviser, and that would be somebody that I would love to see.
that show is, I love that
I
show.
know, you cannot say enough good
I am
things,
so excited.
yeah.
There's only one more season, which I'm kind of bummed about, but
Right.
I'm also kind of grateful that they're not going to pull a Lost and
Right,
sort of
don't do it-
stretch it
don't
out.
Dexter it.
That's always sad
You
to
can't-
see.
you-
Yeah.
you can't Mark hook that up? Mark Evan Jackson, can he?
Well, to be honest, we were trying to get them this year, and they finished filming the season 4, I think, in the last week or two. But there's the possibility of them going over and to.
When you say them, you were going to get the whole cast?
we were going to try to.
Ted Danson and everything?
No, I don't know about Ted Danson. But we were trying to get a large group of the cast
This
to
is
do
Kristen
a show.
Bell's hometown.
Yeah, Huntington Woods.
And the problem being that if they ran over, then all of our headliners would not be able to make it.
Oh, right,
that would
right,
be
right,
tough.
That's a tough one to explain to the audience.
Mark was saying that
Definitely.
the cast does go and watch or do some improv there in LA, right?
Yep, he does a show. I've seen advertisements for it where he does. It's called The Shirt Show because they censor every bad word there.
Yeah.
And it has all the improvisers that are in the cast of The Good Place, and then I saw Kristen Bell there as well. Doing a show.
All right, Michael Smith of the Detroit Improv Festival. Thank you so much for joining us. One other thing I want to plug, you've got a wrestler there performing this year.
We do. We have Luke Harper from the WWE. He's performing with Flying Chuck, and they're performing both Wednesday night and Thursday night at 10 p.m. at Go Comedy.
So cool. Go check out the show or shows because there's multiple.
So much stuff.
All of them are listed at DetroitImprovFestival.org, correct?
Correct.
And you can find the whole schedule there. But really just go and have a good time and don't yell out.
Improvise your
Yeah.
night. Just go hang out.
Don't yell out dildo when they ask for
No,
suggestions.
that's just dumb. Yeah.
Don't do
don't
it.
do
It's
it. Don't be
every
that
weekend,
guy.
Every weekend.
All right, man. Thanks so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it.
Thank
Have a
you for
great
having me.
weekend.
Yeah, have fun.
Until next time, Detroit's moving.
Keep up.
The debrief.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.